to move on to our second topic, which is even still on insecurity. That is suicide bombing and way out of menace. Nigeria has, I would say, enjoyed some relative peace when it comes to suicide bombing, though. Since the past 5 years, we've not really had consistent recurrence of this, but for about 4 to happen in just one day in a state in the country, that is alarming, and I feel like this is something that we all need to talk about. So now, how do we move out of this menace? Because this one is even a sort of unique one, because this is carried out by girls, even though their ages were not specified, but for the female gender to be used, because when it comes to being suspicious, the male gender is always the one that people suspect. But for the female that people might not really look up to as a threat, they're the one carrying out this suicide bombing. What trouble are we getting ourselves into?
The sad reality, I keep saying, the first thing, the lack of political will. When you have leaders that cannot prioritize what is relevant to what is a need, then it becomes a problem. The country currently, it's been faced with the pandemic of hunger and poverty, lack of unemployment and all this. So people that are not employed are available. When the government doesn't use the available hands for employment, it means any other person can also recruit those available hands for whatever reason. And everybody wants to eat. You have to eat to survive. So that means at that point, whenever there's opportunity for recruitment, they'll present themselves, especially when they know they'll also be protected. Or at least those persons recruiting them will at least be loyal, or at least they'll keep to what they have said, unlike what the government is doing currently. And when you are also not being accountable, I said a lot of persons have been killed and murdered over years by people that should be protecting them. So protectors have turned predators. Be the police, be the military. Nobody's being held to account. But these families of these persons are still grieving till date. And it's sad that Nigeria don't have a compensation package for those type of persons. And there's also a lack of access to justice for these victims of killings and all this. So those families, indirectly, they are available for recruitment because they are finding a way to get back to the government that have failed them, not giving them employment, not giving them protection, which is the primary aim of the government. So when you have failed, the person will be looking for opportunity to get back at you, especially when the person is looking, okay, the breadwinner, my father, my mother has been killed. I cannot feed. I can no longer go to school. What is my use again? At least let me do something that people will realize. But the essence is Nigeria keep trying to address the symptoms instead of looking at the problems. If you look at a particular government, Nigeria currently spending 21 billion on vice presidential launch, talking about presidential aircraft and all, is that the problem? There is inflation of the naira and all that. There are still other records about the government signing something to IMF. And then you are looking, what is happening to our refinery? Can it be fixed immediately? That will at least help the economy a little bit to be stable. What happens to getting a new one? These trillions are wasting on roads and all that. In priority, what should be put first? But all these monies that are being wasted, if new refineries can be built, it's employment. If that particular refinery or the area where the refinery were working, if it's working, there are other businesses that automatically will come there, which is maybe secondary employment. So when there's no refinery, no secondary, it means all those persons will remain well. And as long as people need to survive, these cases will only begin. And when we keep talking about police and military failing to do their response, there are a lot of cases. 2 weeks back, somebody, a woman was actually, a daughter was actually being kidnapped, and they called the family on phone and she was raped for the parents to hear, and they say once the call drops, they will kill them. The police, the military were being informed that these particular people were in Nasarawa. Nobody went there until they were able to raise that money, and that has been happening over and over again. So when insecurity is happening and then they are telling you people that this is our people, these are just Google map. You can still use just simple Google map and locate where your parents are wherever. Technology is simple if you pay attention to it. And then still till date, our military, have they, our military at any time claimed they don't have access to the funds allocated to them? If they have not claimed that, that means actually they have access to them and they are failing to use it. And before infiltration of military to the committees these days that they are littered everywhere, we didn't have this much insecurity than like we have now. So they should go back to their primary aim and leave the police first to do. If they fail, they will know how to go about it. Yes, the police have not been doing well, but this is not just about one of them. They are failing in numerous ways. But to address these issues of bombing, kidnapping, and all that, the police, the military, they need to work in synergy to address this concern and show us that they are capable of protecting us. If they cannot give us that confidence in them, then it means we have to start defending ourselves, and they won't like it. But that is where we are heading.
Okay, all right. And now to Abu Adams, for someone to volunteer themselves to bomb a place which would ultimately take their lives first, one have to be concerned about what could make someone put on that bravery or probably shed all humanity or any emotions led for them to do that. So what do we blame for this? Do we blame brainwashing? Do we blame poverty? Or do we just blame it on plain biblical, or let me say religious evilness that some believe is plaguing the world right now?
Thank you very much. I think, it's very simple. Terrorism is about indoctrination. And when you are talking about indoctrination, what do they use? They have the factors that are already privileged in our society that they can talk about to easily indoctrinate them. They can use religion, they can use poverty. After all, whether you are living, you are not living, you are not part of the society, you are not enjoying what you should enjoy as a human being. They have so much to use to indoctrinate them, and that is what they have done over the years. But that is not my area of concern. My area of concern is that we Nigerians, we easily forget. We easily forget. At the time that this suicide bombing was raining, there has been this warning: don't gather. Don't be in a large crowd. Be conscious. Be this, that. Because these people did not do so for some years now, we relax. And I've always said, and I want to repeat it again: anytime you see terrorists, whether bandits or whatever you call them, going quiet, they rest assured that they will come up with deadlier action. It has always happened. That was what they did before Kaduna train attack. That was what they did before they invaded some schools. That was what they, and several, you can't even mention them. So we are not supposed to go and sleep with our eyes closed. We are supposed to have those ideas in our minds. Until today, when you see people in a wedding party or in any form of party, they relax, they begin to throw money. They never thought again that these people could be around. People still travel at odd hours. They never bothered again that kidnappers can be on the road and things like that. And we see them on a daily basis. I think we need to go back to our elementary counter kidnapping or terrorism measures, as has been highlighted over the years for us, because we are here with it. I've said this before, and let me repeat it. They are expanding more than we do. We saw some time ago a photograph of terrorists with a government contractor in Taraba. In Zamfara. In other words, they pay them to protect them to do their job. That is the level they have grown. And you have seen some video, you see them in thousands. Can you amass any of our fighting forces in those thousands? They are virtually everywhere. And if you look at again, even at checkpoints of our various security agencies, how many of them are at each checkpoint? That's why in most cases, they take them by surprise. Maybe the number may be 20, and maybe they have 2 checkpoints within that environment. There is no any monitoring team standing by, and so these guys just come and they'll just sweep on them. So we have so much to do, and that's why I said what led to banditry, what led to terrorism, what led to kidnapping, those things, are we addressing them? Rather, in our political practice in this country, the practice of our own democracy is the promotion of thuggery. And these are the things that gave birth to what we are witnessing. And it's on the increase on a daily basis. The rate at which they recruit is more at a geometric progression than the rate that we recruit people into our security forces. Up to now, we are still debating state police, and we don't think they are relevant. Yet, we have Amotekus, we have other ones in the southeast, we have various groups, hunters and whatever. Why don't we incorporate them into the normal state police force that can be trained and properly equipped for them to man the unmanned spaces that we have in this country? So these are the challenges, and we need to work on them. We must tell ourselves the truth. It's not about what are the soldiers doing, what are the police doing, what other things we need to do for them to function properly. Have we been doing them? And what are the support? Let me tell you, let me give you a short, maybe the final one. Sometimes last year I was in a particular country. I just arrived to that country for about 30 minutes. And I have 3 telephone numbers. One, I only use one of the numbers for my visa, but I switched that one off and 2 others. Only one, which I did not use for my visa. But when I entered their country, there was a crime, and they sent out an alert. Do you know that I received alert on the number of my phone that I did not use for my visa into that country? This is the level of data management that helps security in their nation. Do we have that in this country? Is anybody thinking about it? Do we even bother about it? And instead, we say soldiers and police are not doing enough. We need to do things that we are supposed to do that will make these institutions to work for us.
All right, thank you very much for that.